Hello guys, Cesar here. It's that time of the week again, as I go through my 4 comics of the week, so let's get started. The first is Thor number 1, the initial installment in the restructuration of the main Avengers roster, which also includes Sam Wilson as Captain America and, if rumors are true, Laura Kinney as Wolverine. But let's focus on the female Thor here, who actually doesn't appear in this issue until the very last page. Yeah, in a very weird move, Jason Aaron decided not to reveal the identity of the new wielder of Mjolnir. Instead, he focuses on building on the challenge that the new heroine will have to overcome in the following issues, and also showing the state of good old Thor and the fallout of him losing his powers. This may seem strange, but I get why this was placed here and not in the final issue of God of Thunder. There's a chance that a significant portion of the readers of this issue didn't read the previous run, so this idea works from a reader's perspective, as you're not demanding them to go through previous issues, which in my opinion makes the reader feel like an idiot for not knowing much about lore or backstory. But also, this choice makes sense from a story perspective. We're talking about the power of a god here, not any god, one that also happens to be one of Earth's mightiest heroes. And this issue really highlights what it means for the present, and that is what I like this issue. It stays on the present. There's no complicated lore or character backstory shoved down your throat, and it throws you right into the action, and it really feels like it's not wasting time. Sadly, that leaves me with the only big setback of this book, which is of course the total absence of the protagonist. Mr. Aaron, you know this is the reason that a lot of people are going to pick the book, you know. But anyway, it's a really strong start with an honestly refreshing approach to the change of the status quo. There's a little saturation to the color palette. I mean, the goddamn book is almost entirely blue, but the art still manages to please the eye. I give this a 3.5 out of 5. Next up is Gotham Academy number 1. This book has been marketed as Batman meets Harry Potter. That being said, and having read the first issue, I believe this book has a lot in common with Academy-based anime, like Soul Eater, Little Witch Academia, or even Kill la Kill. That shit stinks and doesn't count here. The point that I'm trying to make here is that this format depends a lot in establishing its setting, perhaps even more so than establishing the characters of their story. This first issue does a pretty good job in that regard, both art-wise and writing-wise. There's a very strong sense of place in the Academy. It feels like it's part of Gotham, but at the same time you get the feeling that this is a new place to explore and discover. The characters and the story feel a little bit by the numbers though, especially main character Olivia, who spends a good chunk of this issue just playing along the motions. That being said, a welcome small twist near the end of this issue raising my expectations for her, as well for this book's connections with the rest of the Math mythos. It's a well-delivered first impression and color me interested in where it goes from here. This too gets a 3.5 out of 5. Moving along to Batman Eternal number 26, this issue feels almost like a placeholder, and on top of that the art looks worse than ever. The only highlight in this number is a flashback detailing Bruce's past relationship with Tommy Elliot, aka Hush. It's a nice visual and it makes great use of the limited color palette, although the line work is a mess. Other noteworthy moments are Stephanie visiting her father, which leads to her realizing the position she has left herself into, and the ending, which is to point out that the story will finally address the events on Arkham Asylum. I wish I could say more, but this issue was a very irritating shade of meh. As a matter of fact, my only wish right now is that they change the artist. This gets a 2 out of 5. It's really below the standards of this title. And finally, and thankfully to cleanse my palette after this art disaster, let's move on to one of my favorite artists, Phil Noto, as he and writer Nathan Edmondson team up Natasha Romanoff with my favorite superheroine, Laura Kinney, in the pages of Black Widow number 11. Okay, I need to give an explanation for this level of hype. Back in early 2012, writer Marjorie Liu was closing her run with the X-23 solo, and beginning her move into Astonishing X-Men. In the penultimate issue of X-23, she had Laura and Natasha interacting for the first time. That was only a couple of pages long, but it was awesome! At the time, most people thought that Liu did this to reference her previous work with the Deadly Avenger, as she wrote Natasha's first solo, The Name of the Rose. However, shortly after she ended her tenure with Laura, Liu revealed in an interview that if she had been able to continue writing the X-23 solo, she would have introduced Black Widow as Laura's mentor. And now we got that team up. And with the same artist that finishes the X-23 series, Phil Noto. Not gonna lie, this issue is awesome! This is the kind of storyline I want to see Laura involved with. Sure, there isn't much interaction between the two leads, but seriously, this is an espionage dream team. From the glamorous feel of the artwork to the serpentine dialogue, this is the female James Bond movie we never got. One thing that I have always liked about this run is that it manages to introduce fan service that actually contributes to the story instead of getting in the way of it. And here is no exception. Laura's inclusion in these particular operations feels very organic, and with a role that makes sense. On Natasha's side, you can feel the frustration she's feeling due to not getting the answer that she wants. Like any person under stress, she just wants the ordeal to be over with. And even though Edmondson's take on Laura isn't the most impressive, that title goes to Liu, he gets the basis of the character very right. And the very few interactions between both ladies are short but very poignant. Seriously, I can't find anything wrong with this issue. It gave me a super spy story that I didn't even know I wanted. It gave me the best story take on Laura Kinney since the end of the Liu run. And as always, it gave me Phil Noto's phenomenal artwork. This gets a World Star perfect 5 out of 5. Don't miss this out. And that will be all for this week. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. I hope to see you all next week. This is Cesar saying, go and buy Black Widow.